Good morning everyone and welcome back to Generic Garage. You just saw me finish putting the rest of the pistons inside of the block, which is where we left off last time. On this episode, we are going to continue the assembly by installing the camshaft, the timing chain, the oil pump pickup tube, the lifters, the spiders, so on and so forth. Before we get started on that, I did want to mention that I gave a call over to John over at Mission and had him order the AFR 195 heads, some lifters, and some ARP bolts to attach those heads to the motor. And unfortunately, the AFR 195s won't be here for about another 4 weeks. So that puts the video upload time for installing those heads probably somewhere around the 6-week mark. And I apologize for that, but there's just not a whole lot I can do about it. So let's get started continuing our assembly by installing the camshaft. I was looking through all the parts and I could not find a timing chain set. So either I forgot or John forgot or somebody at Mission forgot. Either way, it's not here. I checked my receipts, it's not on the receipts. So now I need to go pick up a timing chain set. So we're gonna go do that and we'll get back to this as soon as I have that in hand. All right, well, 1 week later and we finally have our timing set. This is a true roller timing set. So let's get that installed. Let's talk a little bit about degreeing your cam. It's very important to validate the numbers that come on the sheet with your cam. The center line for this cam, based on the website, says that it should be at 110 degrees. Now, this is all kind of arbitrarily placed on here, but what we need to do first is find the actual top dead center. We can get pretty close. We can say, oh yeah, that looks like it's, right at the top. And we can, get a clothes hanger and cut it up and put our degree wheel on here and say, oh yeah, hey, that's top dead center. But we actually need to verify that. This technically isn't the right dial bore gauge setup that you want to be using. Typically you want to have a deck bridge that spans over the piston, and the dial bore gauge sits in the center of the piston. But this will work for what we're doing, and we're gonna need this to actually check that center line anyway, so we'll just stick with this. The reason that this isn't the best tool to be using to find your top dead center is because even just the slightest movement of this really affects that dial. But it's okay, as long as we don't touch it, we'll be all right. So when you have it perpendicular in both directions, now what we want to do is get that 0 point set to wherever the needle is at. Make sure that the plunger here is pushed up just a little bit and that it is actually touching that piston. And then we can rotate this around. And this is why this isn't the best tool. All right, there we go. We got it set right on the 0 there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate the crankshaft until we get 50 thousandths of drop in the piston. and we'll see where our pointer ends up on our degree wheel. So there we are, we've rotated it one direction until we got it to 50 thousandths. And we can look at our degree wheel and we can see we're at 12. So now we want to rotate it the opposite direction until we get 50 thousandths the exact same way. And we can see on this side we have 13 degrees. So we're actually about a half a degree off, you know, split the middle, there's a degree of difference in either direction. Half of that's about a half a degree. So the way we're gonna fix that is we're gonna get this back to top dead center, and we're gonna bend our needle just a little bit, our indicator needle here, just a little bit by about a half a degree to compensate. So here we go, rotating back to top dead center. Give it a little bit of a bend for a half a degree. That's actually so now that we've bent our indicator a little bit, we're back to top dead center here. We're back to top dead center on the gauge. We're gonna check it one more time. And what we're looking for is that both of the degrees are the same on either side of that top dead center mark. When we rotate that piston, 50 thousandths in both directions. So in both directions, we have about 12.5 degrees. So now we know that our indicator here is set up exactly for top dead center. Now what we need to do is get one of our lifters and lube it up as if you were going to install it. Once you have that all lubed up, go ahead and drop it in there carefully. And then grab your push rods. Well, one of your push rods. I don't have them. I don't have any of my push rods yet. But what I do have is a push rod length checker. That'll work just fine. And you get your push rod set up between your lifter and the gauge. Try to get it pretty straight in there. Try to get it, you know, perpendicular, kind of like we did to that cylinder or to that piston. Make sure you're using the intake lifter and not the exhaust lifter, because the center line degree of 110 degrees is referencing the intake center line. If you can't figure it out, just go look at one of your heads and you'll find out that the valve in the head position, you can see in the exhaust port that it's this lifter location, and the intake is over here. And then once again, we need to zero out our indicator at top dead center. Once we've done that, we're going to rotate our engine around. And when we get to a whole rotation, or a half a rotation of the camshaft, you're going to notice that that rod's going to start to pick up. So what we need to do is find the maximum lift. And ours falls right at 60. Well, the 60 on the dial indicator. Then we want to get to 20 thousandths of change going down. And we want to do that for either direction. Yeah, we'll call it 82. So we had it at 138 degrees and 82 degrees. Add them together, you get 220. Divide that by 2, and you get 110 for our separation, which is dead on with what our cam sheet says. And that's it for degrading the cam. All we're doing is verifying that the sheet for the cam matches up with what we actually read in our engine. We're just validating those measurements to make sure everything is as it says it is on that cam sheet spec card.
everybody. It looks like that's going to do it for today. It's getting a little late. We finished up deblasting these parts. I need to get them painted and then put on the motor. I need to install the oil pan. I need to buy a water pump. I need to buy some fluids. But we're still waiting for another 3 weeks before those heads come in. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching these videos. If you haven't already, please leave a comment or like the video. And if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please subscribe. We have a lot more projects coming up other than just putting this motor in this Ranger. Yes, the Ranger is a big part of this channel, but there's going to be some new things coming up in the future that I have planned. So, subscribe. I hope all of y'all stay safe and have a great week, and I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks.